This is things I wish I could say in Sunday school. I want to share some thoughts and ideas that are different than what we usually hear. My goal is to be really honest rather than inherently faith-promoting. I hope these ideas may spark some interesting discussions with your friends, families, or classes. Please enjoy. This is the lesson for April 6th through 12th and April 13th through 19th, Exodus chapters 7 through 18. Today's topics are hard and soft hearts, God's miracles, strict rules, and symbols. In thinking about the material for these weeks, there's a few things I need to say at the start. I don't think the plagues and the parting of the Red Sea are historical. The Torah didn't really come together until 700 to 500 BCE, that is several centuries after the Exodus. That's a lot of time for stories to evolve. Also, the Hebrews didn't build the pyramids. That's a common misconception. They were built a millennia before the Israelites' time in Egypt. When I teach the story of Moses to my kids, I start by saying this is a story. Inevitably, they will ask me, did this really happen? And I will respond that I don't think it did. I think it's just a story. When I think about the value in the story to the people who perpetuated it, my best guess is that the point of the story, and so many Old Testament stories, is that the Israelites are God's chosen people. They are the most special. If you believe that, then anything they do is justifiable. It's an extremely bonding ideology. It will help unify a people. I'm moving on to the next topic. The manual puts a lot of emphasis on Pharaoh's hard heart. I agree that in this story, the Pharaoh is uncompromising in his stance of not liberating his workforce. Hard-hearted means uncompromising and close-minded. Soft-hearted is open-minded. The thing is that most people want others to be soft-hearted to them and their ideas, while being hard-hearted to basically all other ideas. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is very guilty of this. They tell us to be soft-hearted, but what they really want is for us to be soft-hearted to their own messages. They tell us to distrust everything and everyone else but the church. They tell us the world is evil and will corrupt us. All sources about church history that don't come from the church are anti. There are countless examples of how the church wants us to be hard-hearted toward everything but the church. Then the church controls us. If we're being honest with ourselves, how much do we really want our minds changed? It can feel weak to be too easily persuaded. But to be completely intransigent is also weak. It's strong to be open to new ideas and ways of looking at things. We should take in the information and evaluate it. We can evolve our viewpoints if that's the most right thing, but we can also reject ideas if they don't stand up to scrutiny. And a lot do not. I can't tell you how often I listen to a podcast or read an article and I think, you're wrong because you're not seeing the problem from other perspectives, or you didn't factor in X, Y, or Z. Now, when I hear criticisms with soft or hard-heartedness, I just think that you're whining about not being able to manipulate others as much as you want. Instead, consider why your argument isn't landing. Is your presentation weak, or is there a fundamental problem with the idea? The next topic I want to address is God's miracles. In this part of the Moses story, we have all the plagues and the parting of the Red Sea. Again, I don't believe this stuff literally happened. I can get behind some stuff, like swarms of bugs. That's a thing that happens in nature. I'm not sure about the river turning to blood, but I can see some natural chemicals coloring the river for a bit. But the Passover is way too far. So is parting the Red Sea. There is no way to explain it happening with natural means. Even a tsunami-level earthquake in the Red Sea won't make it part enough for people to pass through. Which is kind of the point. God did this because the Israelites are God's most special people, which I can't actually believe. So if this stuff didn't literally happen, how did the story evolve? Basically, a couple generations pass, old people start telling stories, they get repeated and embellished. Eventually, the stories coalesce because there's a point to them. The men in charge want obedient, compliant followers. A more modern example in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints occurred after Brigham Young was chosen to succeed Joseph Smith. I spoke about this when I covered the Doctrine and Covenants. You may have heard stories that when Brigham Young got up to speak about where the church should go after Joseph's death, people said that Brigham Young looked and sounded like Joseph Smith, that it was a miracle. I was taught this growing up in the church in the 90s. But this was a story made up and perpetuated after the fact. It did not really happen. The journal entries from all the people there when it happened did not mention it at the time. The story evolved afterwards. Once the decision is made that Brigham Young is the successor, magical stories about God basically anointing him are going to reinforce that choice and feel good. So people repeat it until they really believe it happened. Now the story is still told in the church, even though it's discredited, because most members know the story and repeat it without ever researching the truth of it. Honestly, the same thing is happening with conspiracy theories in modern times, which is kind of incredible to see. The next topic I want to discuss are the strict rules imposed, especially for the Passover. There were a lot of rules that the Israelites had to follow in order for their homes to be passed over without killing their oldest male child. Unleavened bread, bitter herbs, male firstling unblemished lamb, blood around the doorway in a specific manner. It goes on and on. We see the tradition of complicated, strict rules continue through to Jesus' time. So, what's the point of very complex, stringent rules in this story? Well, in my opinion, if obedience to rules is the only way to be right with God, protect your family, and survive, that makes the men who make and perpetuate the rules extremely powerful. If strict rules is the foundational story of your society, anything but compliance will result in being on the outside of your society. The stories are powerful. It goes far beyond the story of the Passover too. Leviticus is full of complicated rules, and we see it continually come up. It's still the case in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There are impossibly complicated rules at basically every level. Read some of the General Handbook. Then there are the extra rule books for missions and temples and even youth. I understand the need for organization in a massive institution, but it goes way beyond that because complicated rules mean we are reliant on the men in charge to be the arbiters of those rules. The rules are also a distraction from the stuff that really matters. Jesus taught that the two great commandments are to love God and love our neighbor. He saw the problems with complicated rules and showed a better path. But most religions have moved back to complicated rules because that's the path the men in charge chose to consolidate their power over the people. I don't think Jesus would approve. The last topic I'm going to cover today is symbols. There are a lot of symbols in these stories. Lots of Messiah references in the Passover. I also keep thinking about Moses raising his arms for his people to win the battle, and then Aaron and Jethro helping to hold up his arms. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints adds the extra layer that Jethro held the Melchizedek priesthood and Aaron obviously the Aaronic priesthood. But I really like symbols because they are open to interpretation. I think these highly symbolic stories are included intentionally. I don't think they just happened. The symbols were created to be symbols, but that doesn't make it less special to me. Symbols are powerful. Symbols make it so that even as our understanding evolves, we can keep and utilize the same stories. Just add new evolved layers of interpretation to them. People will actually spend time thinking about symbols. What they mean, what did the artist or whoever created the symbols intend? What does it mean to me? What is the intended lesson? Is there real truth in the lesson? What do I really think about it? When we invest some time in anything, it becomes much more meaningful to us. So even though I don't believe God sent a destroying angel to kill all the firstborn Egyptian male children, I can spend time thinking about the symbolism of the Passover, and that is meaningful to me. I'm going to plug one of my favorite movies as an illustration of symbols. Gattaca has been one of my favorite movies since I first saw it. It's a movie about widespread genetic engineering to create children with advantages. It questions whether your life is determined by your DNA or if your determination can overcome your limitations. The name of the movie only uses the 4 letters of DNA, GATC. There's a prominent spiral staircase featured resembling a double helix. It's rife with intentional symbolism. At one point, 2 characters attend a piano concert performed by a man with 6 fingers on each hand. Talking about the concert after, one character says, 12 fingers or 1, it's how you play. The other character responds, that piece can only be played with 12. That small interaction symbolically illustrates the 2 juxtaposed perspectives. And there is truth in both. It's a small moment, but it stuck with me. I still think about it from time to time and probably always will. That's the beauty and power of symbols. If we try to explain a truth in words fully, we often just can't do it. There are always more layers, or we'll make some small mistakes. Symbols don't have that issue because they have the advantage of not being fully defined and boxed in. Jesus used symbols beautifully and taught in parables for this same profound purpose. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Please share with family and friends. Until next time.